us start. So today, guys, basically we will be doing the cash management, starting with cash management. Okay. So in the cash management, what are the basic things that we will be understanding? We will not be covering everything, but what exactly or what are the things that we will be covering? Okay. First, there we will be seeing there are certain transactions that you can carry out. Okay, in case of cash management. And we will see that, and then managing the statements. Okay, that means bank statement we receive, right? So bank statements, how we can upload the bank statements, then how we can reconcile the bank statements, what are the different other methods of upload. Okay, and then what are the other methods of reconciliation, all those things we will see, and then the basic setups that are required for carrying out the statements and everything. Okay, so those things we will have a look at. Okay, now for cash management, first of all, what is the role that is required? Okay, the role that is required for cash management is the cash manager role. That is the seeded role that you will assign, or that you need to work on cash management. Okay. And the next thing is it should have we should be having the bank accounts. The primary, setup that is required to carry out any activity in cash management is basically the banks. Okay. There should be internal bank accounts, as it is called an internal bank. Okay. Because it is our or the business's bank accounts. Okay. That should be available in what? Available in the bank master. Okay, bank name, bank branch, bank account. Okay, all these things should be available in the bank master, and only then we will be able to carry out any task in cash management application. Okay, so first of all, and there is no other security when it comes to cash management. Okay, so it is only the role which is in case of payables. We had what we had this thing, right? Business unit access that needs to be provided. Okay, but in case of cash management, you don't need any specific access that needs to be provided as part of the data access, or the navigation we go through, right? Manage data access, that navigation, in that there is nothing required. Okay, from a cash management perspective. Okay, so that is where I mentioned this. But yeah, some things can be done at the bank level. So at the bank level, if you want the bank account usage restriction for certain users only, that you can do additionally from the bank level. Okay, so that is the only security that is available in case of cash management. Other than that, there is nothing. Okay, so in our case, let me first take you through the cash manager role that is assigned. This is the security console page. Okay. Let us add that particular role. I'll click on edit. Add role. Okay, and add cash manager. Sorry, business unit would be required in case of one of the transactions. Okay, yes, business unit is required, my bad. So that will be, I will explain you when that particular thing is required. Okay, business unit as a access is required. Okay, so cash manager role we have added. Okay, and then we'll save and close. So this role we have provided, and then the next step would be what? Next step would be to run the setup, the LDAP, retrieve LDAP program, or you can directly run it from this run user and role synchronization in the setup and maintenance. Let me jot down the things that are required in case of cash management. Okay, first is the role of cash manager that is required. Okay, and then access. You would need access of business unit for some transactions, not all transactions, but for some transactions, access. And then preliminary setups, okay, would be, or prerequisite setups would be what? Would be the bank master. Okay, bank master. And then there are some other setups for bank statement processing. Okay, setups for bank statement processing. This setup for bank statement processing, we will look when we cover the bank statement part. Okay, so as a prerequisite setup, we will see all the setups that we need to do for bank statement processing. But for carrying out transactions, okay, there are certain transactions that you can do as part of the cash management application. Okay, so you might ask me, what are those transactions? So basically, things that you cannot perform, or transactions which has an impact on the bank, okay, that you cannot perform in receivables or payables. So basically, any type of payment that you do for supplier payments, you would do from where? From the payables, right? Similarly, any kind of deposit or receipt that you want to make against the customer invoices or customer transactions, that would be coming from where? Coming from the receivables. Now there are a few more other types of transactions which does not involve any payable or receivable transactions. Okay, then in that case, you might ask me, how will we do that? Okay, so which the one best example is the bank transfer. So from one bank account to another bank account, okay, transactions that can be covered in CM. Okay, that would be what? Bank transfers transaction. Okay, any ad hoc payments, or any ad hoc payments which is not part of payables. So there is no specific invoice. It is more like a miscellaneous payment. For miscellaneous receipt, we have an option in receivables, but there is no option in payables for any miscellaneous payments. Okay, miscellaneous payments where the invoice is not involved. Such kind of transactions you cannot perform in payables. Either you will have to create a dummy invoice first and then make the payments. Otherwise, you will not be able to do any payments from the payables. So in such cases, there is an option available in cash management for ad hoc payments. Okay, that are not part of, that cannot be carried out as part of the payable activity. Okay, then we have another thing called the bank statement reconciliations. Okay, these are some of the activities that we can perform. Okay, then there are some other activities like cash forecasting and everything, but we will not be covering that due to time limitations. but the main aspects that is actually carried out in day-to-day business. Okay, that is what we are going to cover. Okay, so first we will look at the bank transfer transaction. We will look at the ad hoc payment, transactions that can be created, or any other, any other miscellaneous receipts or I would say rather miscellaneous outgoing or incoming of funds that can be performed as part of as part of the cash management. So what are the any other miscellaneous outgoing or incoming funds? Can you think of any example? Anything? Okay. Uh, there are certain bank charges, okay, bank interest that we receive, bank charges that we need to pay to the bank. Okay, as when we make any transfers, let's say for example we are making any international transfers, or the amount of transaction is huge. Okay, so as part of the transaction clearing, let's say check clearing, what bank would do sometimes is charge you some amount. Okay, they would deduct some amount from your account as charges. Okay, or for that matter, let's say bank maintenance. So if it is a let's say demat account that you have, okay, in your with your associated with your bank account, okay, then they would deduct the charges, okay, for demat. Okay, similarly they would charge any other kind of amount for some other services. Okay, so let's say ATM card. Okay, for ATM card they would charge you some amount. Okay, so these are all what? These are all kind of transactions for which we don't have any invoice. We never get an invoice for ATM charges. So you will not definitely book it in payables. So where do you have in Oracle? You might ask me where will you do that? So basically it would be in the cash management. Okay, so that is where I mentioned miscellaneous outgoing or incoming of funds. Okay, so these kinds of transactions you will be able to handle in cash management as a particular transaction for cash management. Okay, then definitely the bank reconciliation statement, for which there are certain prerequisite setups, which we will see tomorrow when we are going to cover the bank statement topic. Okay, so today what my aim is to cover these aspects: bank transfers, ad hoc payments, and any other miscellaneous outgoing or incoming of funds. Okay. Now, role we have provided. Let us provide the access of BU. Okay. I'll go to financials. I would say manage data access. Okay. We'll create William. Cash management is a very small module. What is the role? Cash manager is the role. And what is the security context? It is legal entity. Okay, and then BU, basically BU is not a security context available, but something which it will leverage, okay, based on the other module access. Okay, so payable or receivable access, it will have the security context. But in this case, this security context, it is for what? It is for restricting the access to the legal entity. Okay, so that is one more thing I can add it, but that is not required though. Only if you want to restrict legal entity to legal entity, you will need that. So that in turn will make sure that the bank accounts are restricted. Let me add it. Okay, I would say rather access to legal entity. Okay, which in turn will restrict the bank account access. Right now, I'm not providing it because we need to work on, multiple legal entities that we have. Okay, the bank accounts that we have. So that is where I'm not restricting it. Okay, so you can choose not to provide it. Okay, so at all, just for your information, this can be done. BU access again, it will be, depending upon the access that you have for payable or receivable, you will get the BU activities, BU access in there, and then you will be able to view certain types of data. Okay, otherwise, it is not required. Okay, then prerequisite, we already have bank accounts available, right? So let us just look what are the bank accounts that we have utilized in case of payables, because I don't remember what was utilized. Let me quickly, pick up some payment in AP and check. We will use that same bank account for bank transfer. Payable. Oh, sorry, or other way, what I can do is I can directly go to setup and maintenance also. And I can search by legal entity. Okay, I'll go to financials, manage bank accounts. So that is the only, to do any kind of transaction, this is required. Bank master is required. So I will, in the legal entity name, I will say ABC Corp. Search. So there are two entities. Let's see for ABC Corp Incorporation. I'll search. Okay, there are 3 bank accounts available. Let us check if these bank accounts are enabled, okay, for carrying out the activities. So what all is available? Let's see. This 8859, it is available for payables and receivables. Business unit access, it is there. Okay, and cash clearing is already provided. Let us see the next account. This is also enabled. So this is a common architecture between payables, receivable, and cash management. Okay, this particular bank master. So the accesses that we provide, all those are leveraged across these 3 modules as a shared component. Okay, so the bank accounts we have, so we will be able to do the bank transfer. So in order to do the bank transfer, a source bank and a target bank, okay, is required. Okay, because we definitely, whenever we do any bank transfer, there would be 2 bank accounts involved. So that is why I was checking, if the bank accounts are available or not to carry out the bank transfer. Now let us navigate. Okay, so where is this cash management? Here it is under navigator. Okay, we have cash balances. So under cash balance, you will have the access to carry out the transaction. So let us navigate to that. There is one more icon that needs to appear. I will have to check. That is for the statements. Okay, so this is the landing page, and this is showing all the bank accounts that is associated, and Also, it is showing you the bank balances that are available. So it is something, it is a setup actually, which I will show you towards the end, not at this time, because our main focus is to carry out, the points that I have mentioned, the things that we want to do. That is something our main agenda is. So once that is covered, I will just quickly take you through what is or how basically this thing comes up. Okay, this statistics comes up. Okay, so that I will explain later. So for bank account transfers, okay, under cash balances, you will have a task in the task list, you will have something called create bank account transfer. Okay, in this is the page for creation of bank account transfer, and there will be from account to account that you will have to select. So from account is the source from where you are transferring the funds. To account is the target. Okay, so let us search it out. Okay, we have ABC Corp, many accounts. So let us select this one, 8859 as the source, and to account, let us select 11223. Okay, then transfer date, on which date basically you are carrying out this particular transfer or the transaction. Okay, and then the transfer amount. Okay, what is the transfer amount that you want to make? So it will be, let's say, 10,000 US dollars. Okay, and then the conversion rate is disabled because it is the functional currency in which the transfers are happening. Okay, now what is this settle through payments? Okay, so there are two ways in which you can do this transfer. Okay, so basically what you are doing is you are creating a transaction in the cash management, and let's say you don't have that direct connection with the bank servers. Okay, in that case, you will have to print out a manual transfer letter, and then you will have to send it to the bank as a transfer instruction. So in that case, this checkbox need to be disabled. Okay, settle through payments. So payments is the module for processing the payments through payments module, and then finally it would be sent to the bank through the transmission configurations, which is connecting the bank server. Okay, but let's say if it is not to be done, you don't have that setups available. Okay, then in that case you will have to disable this. Okay, so it will not be sent through payments, it will remain in the cash management module. Okay, if at all you have those kind of setups available, okay, the transmission configuration and everything available, and you want to settle it through payments, then you can enable this checkbox, and then you will select the business unit through which you want to process. Okay, so this VU access is coming from the access that you have provided at the bank account level, as well as the shared access that you have for this BU. Okay, then the payment method through which you want to process. Okay, then the profile. What is the payment process profile that system should consider to process this particular transfer? So that way you can do it, and then it will be it will be created as a payment file. Okay, and sent to the bank, or the printing will get processed. Okay, for this particular transfer through the payments module. Okay, right now I'm just restricting it for cash management, only. Let me cancel and come back. I'm again selecting these values. Okay, it is, this currency is basically fetched up based on the bank currency. Okay, I'm settled to payment. I'm disabling it, and then I will submit. So there is a transfer number generated. Okay, and then you will be able to search this transfer number from the from manage bank transfer task. Okay, let me be back in 5 minutes, and then we will see all the remaining transactions. Okay. Okay. So let us see that transaction that has been created. Okay. The bank transfer transaction. So I'll go to manage bank account transfers. Okay. And if you look here, this is the transfer number. Okay. From account to account, transfer date, amount, currency, and status is completed. Now, if you had sent it through what? Sent it through um, the payments, the settle through payment checkbox, if it was enabled, okay, then it would go to payments. Okay, it would go to payments module, and then just like we processed the batch payments, right? Similar to that, you will have to process, okay, the payment through the batch payment process and send it for transmission, or formatting and everything, and then you will see the status being updated over here. Okay, so see, one of this case, you see settlement in process, that means it is still in progress. Payment status is transmitted, and then you would, if you want to set the status as complete, or you want to take further action on this particular transaction, then you will have to click on action and complete the transaction. So from this is the same page, if you remember, transmission page. Okay, we had seen it in case of a batch payment when we did it in payables. Okay, so from here you would say confirm payments or terminate payments, whatever the case is. Okay, so if it is processed or settled through payment module, then you will see this. Otherwise, if it is just settled through payments is disabled, then it will be directly set as completed. The status will be set as completed. Okay, now this is not the final transaction. Okay, so okay, from a transaction perspective, you have created a transaction, but when it comes to system accounting perspective, okay, these are actually two separate transactions. Why? Because there are two separate bank accounts involved. Okay, there are two separate bank accounts involved. That is why these are two separate transactions. Okay, from an accounting perspective. From a transaction or a bank account transfer perspective, it is just one transfer. But considering that there are two bank accounts involved, it is two separate transactions. So where do you see, or how can we see those two separate transactions? Okay, it is called something called manage external transactions. Okay, so each transaction that you create in cash management, okay, that gets created as an external transaction. Okay, quickly let me check why we don't have access to that part. Okay, let me go to home page. So it is not under cash balance. Okay, it is actually under bank statement and reconciliation. There is another tab that will appear under cash management. Let me go to setup and maintenance, and I will try to add some other role. Someone has actually edited the seeded role. That is why it is not providing everything. Otherwise, just by providing that cash manager role, you should get access to everything. But someone has created a custom, someone has edited the seeded role. Let me see if there are some other roles available. We have already the security console. Plus menu. I will try to add a new role, which is CE. Payment settlement I do not use. Cash manager, cash manager. cashier. Let me just add this. It should not change anything because this is something else. But let me save and close. Run the role synchronization. Submit. Tools. Schedule process. Let me sign out. Confirm. Let us see if now we have the access. Cash management. Yeah, now we have bank statement and reconciliation. Okay, so this is see, cash manager is the only role actually. Okay, probably because of the cache, browser cache, it was not appearing. Okay, so in the bank statement and reconciliation, what you would do is you would go to task list and there is a space for external cash transaction. Okay, in that, when you click on manage transaction, okay, and you would say transaction type, not here, sorry, not this one, origin. Okay, origin, you will say bank account transfer and the date is today's date because we did it on 25th, right? Let me just give few back dates and I will say today's date. So I'm giving a date range and also what is the origin. Origin is basically the play or the point from where this transaction has originated. So it is from the bank transfer that we have created. So all transactions ultimately that you create in cash management will be recorded as an external transaction for accounting purpose. Okay, so bank transfer you create, so it will have two external transaction created. Ad hoc payment you create, ad hoc payment will also have one external transaction that gets created. Okay, so at the end, as an endpoint, it is all categorized as an external transaction for accounting purposes. Okay, so let us search this out. So the origin is bank account transfer and date I have entered as today's date to find out the external transactions that got created as part of the bank account transfer. Okay, so these are, you see, the two transactions, accounting transactions that got created, one for the source bank account, the other for the target bank account. Okay, now you just open this. Let us open both these transactions. Okay, I will edit it. Okay, now do you see this transaction number? Okay, this is the first transaction number, external transaction with respect to the bank transfer that we created. Okay, and then bank account is there, that is selected from the transfer. Amount is again selected from the transfer. Okay, now reference. This reference is something which you can give as the reference number that was sent to the bank. Okay, so definitely when you gave the instructions to the bank to create what? To create a transfer. Okay, in that at that point of time, there would be some reference number that would be there. Generally, it would be what? It would be the bank transfer number. That is system generated, which we saw earlier. So that can be provided as a reference, will which in turn bank will provide you in the statement which they send out or which you print out from the bank portal. Okay, in there you will find the same reference, and which in turn will be used for reconciliation purpose. Otherwise, how will you know against which transfer this particular external transaction is? Okay, so that reference number you will have to provide it manually by editing. Okay, and then description, if you want to update anything, you can update the description. Clearing date is the 24th. Okay, now you see, for the accounting part, there is this cash account, and one other leg is there, which is called the offset account. Okay. Now, this is something that you will have to populate for this particular transaction. Okay. For both the external transaction that is created, you will have to populate the offset account. Why offset account? Because there needs to be something, right, against which it can credit the balance. So this is a cash account. Okay, one leg is the cash account and the other leg is an offset account. So offset account you will have to provide. Otherwise, system will not be able to derive the account for accounting of this transaction. Okay. So this is for first, external transaction. Similarly, let me cancel this out. I'm not giving it right now. Okay, I want to explain the accounting entry and how you would populate this offset account, or what is the account that you will populate here. Sorry. One moment. Okay, so in case of bank transfer 3001, let's say, okay, bank transfer 3001. Okay, there are two external transactions which was called 300 31001, and then there was another external transaction called 31002. Now each of these transaction, both of these transaction will have what? Will have the accounting information for cash account, but then offset account will have to be provided. Why offset is definitely required, right? Every accounting entry should have one debit and one credit line. Okay, so cash account will be one account, and then there should be an offset account against which it can post the credit line. Similarly, in case of the second external transaction 31002, also the cash account will be populated. Okay, but then offset you will have to provide. Now, so in case of 3100, 31001, okay, it is for what? It is for bank account one, let's say, and this external transaction is for bank account two, which was involved in the transfer process. So for one, it is what? It is out. That means cash is going out. Okay, so cash out, I would say, and for the other, it is cash in. Okay, so in this case, in the first bank account case, cash account will be credited. Okay, in the other case, it will be debited. So net entry, if you see, it is so if you, let's say, if it was a manual accounting or manual books of account that you were maintaining, then in that case, what would you have you done? You would have entered the entry like bank to cash account debit, bank one cash account credit. This is how you would have done a manual entry. Okay, if it was in GL, or let's say if it was in some other books or a manual book that you are maintaining for bookkeeping, for accounting, then in that case you would have done entry like this. Okay, but in case of Oracle, it is a little different. In case of Oracle, bank transfer you will create, and then there will be two external transactions, and both of these transaction will have cash account and offset account, which you will have to debit and credit. So in this case, in this scenario, from an Oracle perspective, what you will do, you will have the offset account as some clearing account. Okay, so I would use what? I will debit offset as a offset account as offset clearing account. Some temporary account I will use. Okay, and the same temporary account I will use in the other transaction also. Okay, what is the reason? Because the net entry definitely should be this only. Okay, the ultimate entry. Okay, ultimate entry from the books. Okay, from books of accounts perspective or from accounting perspective should be this. But since in Oracle, this is the architecture, what you will do is, to get the ultimate result of this, you will use offset account as the same account in both the transactions, such that it gets knocked off. Okay, debit will knock off the credit for clearing account, and then ultimately this will be left out in GL. In GL, this is where the balances will be, and in GL, the offset clearing account will be 0. Okay, so let me just put it this way: 001, or let's say 100 is the company value. Okay, or let me copy it from there. Okay, so this is the cash account for first first bank, or the first external transaction. Okay, I would say debit. credit. 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Okay. Now for the first bank account external transaction, this is the account, and let's see for the other. Okay, let's say if for the other one it is, if we have natural account for each bank account in the Oracle natural account list, and it would tag to, let's say, for the second bank account, this is the account. So ultimate entry should be this credit and this debit. But then since offset is there, what I will do is I will have some clearing account. Okay. Let me copy it, which will be like 102,005. Okay, that is my offset clearing account, let's say. So the same account I will use here also. Okay. The exact same account, which is the clearing account, I will use in both the cases. Okay. And then what ultimately will happen is the net entry in my ledger will be cash account first, this one debit, and cash account second will be credit. Sorry, cash account first will be credit, and the cash account the second will be debit. Okay, that will be the net entry. This will get knocked off. Debit against credit, it will knock off, and there will be no balance in this particular combination. Okay, hope you understand how it needs to be handled in case of cash management in Oracle for bank account transfers. Okay. A little confusing, I know, but this is how you need to do. Okay, for the transaction, external transaction that gets created for the bank account transfer that you have done. Okay, for both these entries, you will have to populate that particular value. Okay, and then finally, when you reconcile it against the statement lines, okay, then what will happen is then the accounting you will be able to run, and the final accounting will get posted to the a GL. Okay, that we will see when we do the statement reconciliation. At that point of time, we will reconcile it, and after that you will be able to see the final accounting entry generated. Right now there is no accounting entry, so if you click on view accounting, you will not get anything. Okay, what is it saying? You must account the transaction before viewing the journal entry, and accounting entries will not get generated until and unless the reconciliation is done, the final reconciliation with the bank's statement. Okay, until that time, you will not be able to, system will not be able to do the accounting for this transaction. Okay, just keep that in mind, because this is something a bit different from other modules. Okay, in other modules, as soon as you create any kind of event, you can any kind of transaction, and then you do the create accounting, it gets accounted. Okay, but in case of cash management, it is a bit different approach. So what the point of accounting would be, your clearing with the bank statement lines. Okay. So with respect to bank transfer, this is what we have. Okay, we have to do. Okay, now coming to, I'll go back to the cash balance page. And we will see the other set of transaction, which is called the ad hoc payment. Okay, create ad hoc payments. Now, in order to create ad hoc payments, you need to have certain payees there. So I mentioned, right, miscellaneous payments. These are kind of what? These are kind of miscellaneous payments, which generally you would not take through what? Take through the payables module, okay, which has the supplier, which will leverage the supplier master, all those things, and then you will be creating invoices in payable, and then you will be making out payments. But any other case, okay, that is not related to payables, and it is a kind of payment, then you will have to come to this section. Okay, you will have to create the payees first of all. Okay, payees are nothing but the people, or some miscellaneous vendors, okay, who are not part of our supplier master. Okay, so those you will have to create here. So let's say in case of any bank interest, okay, or you might want to create pay bank as a payee, and then you can create this create as a ad hoc payment. Or maybe let's say if it is some individual, okay, to whom you have made any miscellaneous payments, then that particular pay person, okay, individual, you will create as a payee. So let us see that how to create a payee. Okay, here you will give the name of the payee. So let's say uh, Janice William. Okay, is the payee. Okay, if description is to be provided, why we for which purpose this payee will be used, you can use the description field to populate that. Okay, if it is a company, then you can select the tax registration number. If it is an individual, then you can go for social security number. No, social security is a very highly sensitive in case of US. It might be something else. In India, it would be like PAN number. Okay, PAN number can be recorded. Okay, and in the tax registration number for this person, because this is an individual. Okay, and then what you will do is, that is non-mandatory. Okay, so that is where you can choose to provide it, or you can choose to avoid it. Now the next thing is bank account. Okay, let us save it first, save the payee, and then you can provide the bank account for clearing the for sending out the payments. If you are going to send it through a particular bank, if it is a cash payment that you are making, then you might want to create a dummy bank account called cash in the bank master, and then utilize that here. Okay, so let's say if it is an actual person and there is an actual bank account that this person has, then you can provide the bank details, pay bank details, just like in case of suppliers we did, right? In case of suppliers, we created the supplier bank accounts, and then we utilized, while we were making payments, we utilized that bank account for sending out the payment information, right? So that is where the same thing here is also the same case. Okay, so you can put any number, okay, that is associated to the person, currency, okay, account type, savings, whatever the case is. Okay, account holder is there, bank, basically which bank this is for. Okay, JP Morgan, let's say. Bank branch, I will select the branch available. Okay, and routing number is the branch number. Okay, basically. Okay, and then you will, this is again coming from where? From the bank master, where it has been created. Okay, now this pay is created, Janice William, the bank account information has been associated. Okay, and now what you will do is save and close. Now this pay you will use in the ad hoc payment. Create ad hoc payment from the task list under cash balance page itself. Okay, and then the same way, like bank transfer you did, right? Now instead of to account, it will be pay. Earlier in bank transfer, it was from account and to account, right? Instead of that, now it will be from account and to pay. Okay, so you can select that from account. Let me select the ABC Corp. So this is the bank account, my bank account, from where I'm going to make the payment. Okay, and then payee is Janice William is the payee. Okay, and select the payee account. Okay, so payee account name is Janice William, and then you have all the other account details available side by side. Okay, then payment amount. What is the payment amount? Let's say $1,000 or $100. Let's say I want to make a payment. Now, cash account and offset account. Now, in this case, what should be the offset account? So this is a person to whom you are paying, or there is a payee involved. That means there will be some kind of expenditure, right? That will be associated to some expenditure why you are making a payment to that person. Unnecessarily, you'll not make a payment, right? So there is an expense associated to it. That is where the offset account you will populate with some kind of expense, the actual expense which you have incurred. Okay, this in this case, it will not be clearing account, but in case of bank transfer, it was a clearing account because we have to knock off the offset. Also, system should be able to create the accounting entry. So that is where we used the temporary account, a control account or a clearing account in offset. In this case, the offset would be an actual expense account, the expense that you have incurred for which you are making payment to the payee. Okay, so you can select. So I would say charges or something like that. Some expense account I will use. Okay, let me just use other finance charges amortization, let's say. A miscellaneous kind of expenditure. Okay, and then let it run. Okay, and then just like bank account transfer you did, right? In the bank account transfer, you had this option to settle through payments. So similarly, you have the option in this case also to settle through payment module. Okay, or you can choose to directly complete this in cash management itself. Okay, then in that case, the other part of the business process would be manual, the remaining part. But if you are using settle through payment, then we can use the leverage the transmission configurations of payment module, and then we can send it out directly to the bank through the server. Okay, send the payment instruction to bank through the server. Okay, and then for this also, what will happen is there will be a external transaction available. Once this gets created, you will again be able to go to external transaction in the bank reconciliation and statement page, and you will be able to see the external transaction there. Okay, and then the accounting definitely, just like the case of bank transfer, the final accounting will get generated only once you reconcile that particular external transaction which is created for ad hoc payment. Okay, and against the statement line, only then will you be able to do the accounting for that transaction. Okay, so that is the architecture for cash management. Only once you do the reconciliation will the accounting get generated, not until that time. Okay, not before that. Okay, so that is all about the ad hoc payment. So this is taking time to select, but remaining process remains but all the other process remains the same like the bank transfer. Okay, so that is the two transactions that we have seen. Then in the external transactions page, apart from the bank transfer and the ad hoc payment getting created automatically as an external transaction, you have an option to create other external transactions manually also. Okay, like the example I mentioned in the during the this when I was discussing, right? Any other miscellaneous outgoing or incoming funds. So just like the amount for debit card that bank deducts. Okay, similarly any interest, similarly any bank charges which the bank deducts. Okay, you definitely you will have to create it as a transaction in the system. Otherwise, how will you do the accounting, right? So that is where you can leverage the manage external transaction in bank statement and reconciliation under cash management, bank reconciliation, bank statement and reconciliation. In the task list, you have the task for external transaction. Okay, so in here you can click on create transaction, and you can provide all the details. Okay, the bank account from where the charge got deducted. Let's say, for example, ATM charges got deducted from from one of your bank account. Okay, so let's say the same bank account. Okay, business unit, if you want to associate it to any particular business unit, then you can associate it, or else you can choose to avoid it. So whatever the requirement is. Okay, then 10,000 is the amount. Okay, and then what is the reference? So basically this will be the reference number from the bank, or if it is any other reference number that you have, okay, then you will have to provide that reference number. Okay, because this is for your analysis purpose or your records purpose, this reference number. Okay, then what is the transaction type? Now this transaction type and reference number are play a key role from a reconciliation perspective. Okay, so that is where you will have to select it correctly, appropriately. Okay, because there is something called an auto reconciliation which system can do. Instead of you sitting manually to reconcile the statement lines against the transaction lines, there is a functionality or a feature available in cash management which is called as auto reconciliation. Now for system to do any auto reconciliation, there should be some data points based on which system will be able to identify or match the statement lines against the system transaction lines. Okay, that means the payable transaction, payable payments, receivable receipt, miscellaneous payments that you make in Oracle or external in cash management or external transaction like this one that you create in cash management. There should be a common reference, okay, or a data point which system will be able to identify between the statement and the transaction line. So that is where these are the two key important aspects: reference and the transaction type. So this will act as a data point which system will use to reconcile to match the statement line against the transaction line. Okay, so that we will see the importance of it when we do those activities of reconciliation. Okay. So right now, let me say the reference number for this is 1000. Or let me not put it, let me say this is the reference number 222334. That is the reference number. Okay. And transaction type, I would say this is some kind of fee. Okay, that is levied by the bank. And then in the description, I will mention bank ATM card yearly fee. Okay, and then the offset account. So offset account is, again, in this case, what we will say, it will be the expense account. Expense where you will capture the ATM card charges. Okay, so that is the expense account that you will have to provide. And then once you have provided that, you will do what? You will save it. So once you save and close, the the transaction will get created. Okay, and then finally, when you reconcile it with the bank statement. Okay, so let me just save this. We will use this transaction in when we do the reconciliation. Okay, at that point of time, we will again come back to this. We will provide the correct offset account, and then we will reconcile it against the statement lines. Okay, so this is how you can create external transactions also in cash management to record for any kind of miscellaneous transactions which even cannot be handled through bank transfer and the ad hoc payment. So any other miscellaneous outgoing fund or incoming fund okay, that you want to record, okay, that you can do using the external transaction. So let's say this is payment. Positive amount will be payment. Okay. Negative amount will be what? Receipt. Okay. Sorry, it is other way around. I will exactly what it is. I will check. It is a bit confusing even for me because it is whether it is negative or positive. What exactly will be, But yeah, it is basically that way identified by the system. Whether if it is a negative, I think it is sorry. If it is a negative, it is an outgoing fund. Okay, and if it is a positive, then it is a incoming fund. So let us look at that. External transaction which was created for bank transfer. It will be clear from that. Let us quickly look at that. Manage transaction. Origin is the bank account transfer. 23 to 25, and I will search. Okay, yeah, negative is outgoing. Okay, so for our bank transfer, 8859 was our source bank account, and 11223 was our recipient bank account. So yes, negative is the outgoing, and positive is the incoming fund. Okay, so in case of other external transactions also that you create, if you want to book a payment, you will have to give a negative value. If you want to record for a receipt, miscellaneous, received funds, incoming funds, then you will have to give positive. Okay, that way you can create the other external transactions as well, over and above what system automatically creates for bank transfer and ad hoc payments. Okay, so that's all about the transaction part. Tomorrow we will see the setups related to bank statements processing and some other setups as well. And then we will see how we can process the bank statement, manual reconciliation as well as automatic reconciliation. Those things also we will have a look at. Okay, so everything related to bank statement, we will see. Bank statement processing we will see tomorrow. It will take 2 more days. That means tomorrow and the day after tomorrow as well to complete cash management. So in 2 days time, we will be completing the cash management as well. Okay, then we will start with expense. All right, that's it for today, guys. Any questions?